Hello, you beautiful people. Today's the day. Ableton Live 12.3 is out. We did a live stream when it was first announced, and I'm trying to figure out when that was. Actually, I've been curious about it, but anyways, it was a little while back. Let's find out, because I want to see how long it was between the announcement time and the release. So, should be able to find it pretty quickly here. It was on September 2nd. So October 2nd, November, almost 3 months. So yeah, so basically it took them a while to work out the bugs. There's still one major bug in there that is affecting myself and a lot of people, but well, it's not really a bug. I guess it's a compatibility issue, but yeah, so one thing isn't ideal, but it still works. So anyways, we'll go through that a little bit later on. And yeah, so we're going to go through all of the features all of the new features in here. And I know a lot of people have gone through them and whatever, but I have a lot of questions about specific things, and we're going to answer them through this stream. And there are a couple of things that people haven't been talking about that are actually pretty interesting. One of them is the new generators pack. And it's not the generators pack specifically that's interesting, but I found a way that you can use it and make it more interesting. So anyways, that'll be later on. So anyways, thanks for being here. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any comments about any of this, yeah, tell me what is your favorite, like, the thing you've been looking forward to, because this is it's an interesting update, because the two major things in here are things that, especially the main one isn't something that I feel that I will use very much, but it's something that people have been asking for a long time. Actually, let's start with that right now. It's the stem splitting or stem separation. And yeah, so they've gone through some major updates, even from the beta test to now. And one of them actually makes things a lot easier. Okay, so basically stem splitting, if you don't know what that is you take a song. It's basically, you could remove the vocals and have just the instrumental. You could remove the drums and whatever. It's not something that I use very much, but I still want to test it and see how well it works. But one of the things that was an issue in the beta testing was, I don't know if you guys had to deal with the options.txt file. You may have, if you have Ableton Move, you have to for transferring presets and stuff. But it's one of those files that nobody wants to have to go. It's not a complicated file. It's just a text file with a few lines in it, sometimes just one line. But every time somebody mentions options.txt, people, including myself, are like, oh no, I have to go in there. So they did make a change in here. So I wanted to test this just to make sure it works. I'm going to actually, yeah, we'll just leave this one out. So basically, I have 5 of my tracks, and I wanted to take the shortest one. But there's an issue here with if you're using a Mac with an M1, M2, M3, M4, whatever chip, you will likely have issues if you're on Tahoe. And actually, okay, hold on. Let's do this right. We'll load their release notes. Okay. So yeah, you can split the stuff. I always say I feel like I'm turning into the update guy. I sort of like that, dealing with the updates on the new features. But I read the release notes so you don't have to. So I've gone through all of this, and one of the things here that is pretty important on some systems, stem separation may take a while on older Windows computers, on Intel Macs, like the Intel Macs, the older ones, and the Mac computers with Big Sur, which is, I think, the lowest version you can have and update to this. Like, that's the oldest you can deal with. But due to an incompatibility issue, stem separation will also run slowly on Apple Silicon computers with Tahoe, which is this computer here, which was scaring me, but I don't think it's as bad. Like, we're going to go through it. I'll show you. I don't think it's as bad as we thought. But yeah, it could take a while. What I did was I timed... I got the start time of figuring out when I started to do the stem separation. And then I left and I had a phone call from my wife. So I called her back and then I forgot to check when it was done. But yeah, so I have a few tracks here, but they're longer. So let's just try with the shortest one, just to see how much of an issue it is. So you can take the track here. So let's just ignore this. I'm actually going to take it out. Oh no, actually I won't take it out completely just in case this takes forever. I'm not going to sit here for like, you know, have you sit here for 20 minutes and wait for it to split. But this is just a 30-second clip. And so we'll do separate stems to new audio tracks. You choose their tracks, but this is the interesting thing that I was mentioning earlier. You used to have the options.txt file. You had to go and enable the high quality. Now you have it here. So you can either have high speed, have it faster, but the quality won't be as good. It basically just does one pass. Or you can have quite high quality. From what I understand, high quality will do a whole pass, take out the vocals, another whole pass. I'm assuming maybe with the vocals removed, whatever it is, it does a pass for each of these instead of doing one pass and just splitting it up. So we'll do the high quality and we'll do separate here. And they do give you a warning here. So they do say warning, stem separation will run slowly due to the non-compatibility issue. And yeah, so let's see here, 4:26 my time, and we'll see how quick it is. If this takes too long, we'll just cancel it and go on. But I don't think it looks like it's not moving, and that's what it did earlier. So it wasn't doing anything at all, and then all of a sudden it jumps at 20% and then it starts to go. So anyways, while we wait, what are you guys up to? What kind of music are you working on? What are you excited about on here on 12.3? There's a bunch of updates. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that there's the major parts of it, and then there's a bunch of stuff they just sort of mentioned, almost hinted at in the release notes, and we're gonna go through like there's 3 or 4 of those that are really interesting. So anyways, so this is the 1 of 4, so I guess it's taking the vocals out, and this is going to be an unreleased track that I have, and I'm not promising that it sounds very good. It's just I didn't want to go through a 4-minute track while you're waiting. So yeah, so don't expect too much of this track, but I actually do like it. It's one that I really have to work on finishing up. But anyway, so it looks like we're done with the first. Okay, well, you know what? This gives you an idea. Once this is done, it'll give you an idea, because I'm assuming each of the stems will take almost as long. But unless this one moves really quickly, like I did it earlier, so we can just see what we have. Yeah. You don't want to be, oh, hold on. Okay, well, that gives you an idea. So it's a few minutes. It was like, what, 2 minutes? So it's probably 8 minutes for 30 seconds. So yeah, that is long. And like I said, that's temporary. It's just until they fix the stuff on Tahoe. But it may be long if you have an older computer like that. It's not an incompatibility. It's just, it can take a while. But, and this is, again, is the higher quality. But anyways, okay, so this is what I did earlier. So I'll play the track itself. It's interesting that they mute it automatically once you do the stems, which is really nice because you don't have to yeah. But how do we unmute it is the question. And that's interesting, because now we can't listen to this thing. And I'm assuming there's an easy way, but I'm just gonna quickly go back and drop it back in here, so we don't have to work on. Yeah, there's gonna be a way. It does mute it. I'm just trying to find the. Very interesting. So I'm just gonna drop it as in, just so you can hear what it sounds like originally. Let's drop it in. We'll drop it down here. Okay, so this is what we have normally. Oh, I think I pressed play again, but. Oh. Here, we'll remove. Okay. I had the warp on, it was messing with it. Okay, so this should give us a good idea of what we're working with. So let's solo this one here. We'll just stop this for next time. Let's see what the vocals sound like. I can tell that's pretty close to what it was originally.
Days gone by.
That is actually really close. And it's even able to pick up those vocals with the effect where that filter is coming back in. I'm actually impressed at this. Way more impressed. I've seen tons of demos of this. And anyways, okay, so the vocals sound good. Let's try, this is going to be the drums here. You have no, like you don't, a lot of the time with these things, you'll notice little bits and pieces from other tracks, like just little artifacts, but it sounds like what the drums should be. And like I said, this is an unfinished track, but okay, so let's remove this. Let's see what we have. I don't even know how much of a bass there is in here. Okay, I guess there is. I'm impressed. I hear no artifacts at all. That is impressive. And then I'm curious to see what is in other. This is basically everything that's not drums, vocals, or bass gets dropped in here. So this will be the synth. You can notice a little tiny bit of artifacts from the drums. I can notice a little bit from the drums, but I sort of like the sound of it. But yeah, so it did split it up really well. It didn't take as long as it took a little bit longer, but I was expecting it to take a while. So I wasn't sure if this was going to be a 40-minute type thing or whatever with the issues on Tahoe or whatever. But anyways, so, okay. Stem splitting does work. It sounds good. I'm impressed. Like I said earlier, it's not something that I see myself using tons of it, but yeah, I know a lot of people will find this really useful. So, okay, the second one is Splice. And this is, it's becoming a little bit of a controversial one because a lot of people are like, I don't want to have an extra thing, whatever. Is it going to work? People are asking, is it going to work if you're not connected to the internet? And it does download your sounds to a folder. We'll look at that. Actually, let's go back to, just real quickly here. We'll go back to the release notes here and just make sure we didn't miss anything. Anyways, we're good with the stem separation. And then in Splice, okay, the big question you're asking, if you haven't looked into this, is, do I need to be paying for Splice? No, not really. But I've realized when I did try it out that it's a lot less useful, if you don't. But yeah, you don't necessarily need a Splice account. You do need a Splice account, but you don't need it to be a paid account at the time. So, and there's one thing with Splice, and if they fix this, I use LoopCloud a lot, which is the same type of thing as Splice. And the main reason I use LoopCloud is when you pause your account, you keep your credits until next time. With Splice, if you get rid of your account, you lose all of your credits that are remaining. So at the end, if you're going to close it, like stop your subscription, you have to go in there and just buy whatever just to be able to. And I find that like the quality of my samples and the presets that I buy isn't as good because I'm just buying anything. So I really do like how LoopCloud works, and I hope they will add LoopCloud integration. And I hope that Splice eventually lets you keep your credits, because that's one of the issues that a lot of people have with it. But anyways, there's one. Okay, so if you don't have a paid account, I think they mention it here somewhere. Yeah, you do have access to 2,500 free samples. We all know that everybody's going to be using those same 2,500 free samples. But yeah, if you have had an account, which is in my case, I've done the trial sometimes. I've gotten the account sometimes. And I do have an account, and I do have my own library that I have 1,980 sounds in it. I have some... Okay, here are a few of the questions. Like I said earlier, we're going to go through all the questions that I had, and I've heard people ask, and but I had so many questions about this, and let's get some answers on a few of these. So if you don't have an account, 2,500 free samples. If you don't log in at all, it looks like it's going to work, but it won't work at all. That's what happened to me earlier. I was like, oh, maybe we can do little things here and there without being logged in, because it almost looks like you have a menu, but as soon as you try to do anything, it makes you get an account. It doesn't have to be a paid account, like I mentioned, but you do have to have a Splice account. And Splice, by the way, is a good way if you ever want to get Serum 2, the plugin. I'm assuming Serum 2 is on there the same way Serum 1 was, but they do have a rent to own, and that's what I ended up doing. Because Serum goes on sale so rarely, I ended up getting it on there, and then you pay for a certain number of months, and then eventually you can use it while you're paying for it. And I found that worked really well through Splice. So, you know, if you're looking at doing that, you'll probably get a Splice account anyways. But yeah, so there's one thing that I don't like about this. We'll talk about that in a minute, but okay, the sounds you already bought, do they show up? That was my first question. And yes, they do show up under library, but they don't show up in the searches. That's what we'll look at. And I'm trying to go between between their release notes and what we have here. So one of the things that they do mention, so if you double click a sample name, you press the enter key, you can drop it in a set. Let's see here what would happen if this is with your own sounds that you got before, like even if you're not in an active account. I just want to see what happens here. So if I want to take this, double click on it, yeah, so it loads right here. So this is a sound that I got. Oh, hold on, we're still playing this thing, but yeah, so this is a sample that I had from before, and it loads in there. So you can use your own samples that you've gotten with credits, even if you're not on an active subscription. If you have been on an active subscription, you can do that. If you never use Splice, look around for codes. There's always a free month. I'm actually surprised that they didn't do something here, and maybe they do if you're new and you've never tried it, but if I go to resubscribe, it doesn't give me any offers. But usually there's some sort of a free trial offer with Splice. You just have to remember to download all your sounds, like use up all your credits before it expires if you're stopping your account at the end of the trial, and obviously stop your payment for the next month. But anyways, okay, so there's an interesting, so one of the things, do they show up, the sounds that you already have? Yes, they do. Where do they get saved? And that's something that they dealt with here in the release notes. And so when you buy a sound, so basically if you're here and you choose vocals, and so let's say you want this sound here. If I try to bring this in, it probably won't. Oh, wait a second. It does bring it in because it seems I do have it. That's sort of weird. Okay. Oh, included. Okay, I just noticed that because earlier it wouldn't load anything. See where it says included? So these are the sounds. Oh, that's interesting. So when we do this, these categories here, we get the sounds that are free with our with the Ableton with Ableton, like there's 2,500 sounds I mentioned earlier. So okay, so we do have access to those. So that's sort of interesting here. Oh, okay. So we can remove the included. So these are the sounds that you would have to pay. So let's see what happens here. If we try to add this one, yeah, it won't add it all, and then it tries to sell you a plan. But if you do go here to included, that gives you the sounds that we all have access to, and that's a lot of vocals. So 4 long pages of vocals. I don't know how many per page, but so there's 153 different vocal sounds, and so that'll be interesting to play around with. So, okay, so you do have the included stuff, but one thing it doesn't seem to have is your library sounds. Like there's included, and it would be nice to have a tab here for library because, yeah, these are the sounds I have, but I think it's just, this is just whatever. It has nothing to do with the vocals that we're trying to search. So, and again, there may be ways to search through this and whatever, but we'll learn that over time. Okay, this is an interesting thing, and this here is worth not turning off Splice, which you can in Ableton. I'll show you in a minute, but this is worth having just for this, especially if you have an ear that you can hear a sound and say, okay, that you figure out the key right away from a sample, then okay. If you are like probably most of us that that cannot do that, this is what you can do. So I have a bongo sound here that's just a sample. It's just a sound, and actually here, what happens is, just to show you how it works, this is when I loaded it up. It's just a very short sample. So why doesn't it play? Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go and find this one again because I want to show you. It's weird. The way the Splice window shows up, I don't know. It bugs me. It feels like it doesn't match the rest of the okay. 727. So I think this is a sound. This is a sound we have here. So I'm just going to go over this. So this is what we have. So if we go to Splice here, and this is the best feature out of the whole Splice thing. So if we take this and we drop it here, we have a problem. It says, I can't perform the search. Make sure your clip is at least 1 bar and try again. This is like this feature, what it's meant for is you can drop it into Splice and it will find similar sounds based on that. But there's an extra interesting feature in that. So, okay, so this doesn't work because it's too short, but you can just go here. You've got the start and you can go to the end and change it to, yeah, we can do, actually, I think you have to do warp first. Yeah, and then 1 or 2 maybe. Wait a second. This isn't what I wanted it to do. Oh, we're on the wrong track. That's why we're having issues. Okay, so here we should be, I thought we were able to set it, but I think we might have to do the warp. And we can set it to, I don't know, 2 bars here. And then when we drop it in here again, then it will work. Yeah, it will stop your audio and it'll work. So you just have to lengthen the size of your sample and it will let you bring it in. And then this bongo sound here found these, which aren't, I guess it's basically just stuff that's in the same key because they do not sound similar. But there's something interesting here is it gives you the key of the track. And this is what I was saying of the sample, which that's the part that I was saying it's interesting to have. Even if you don't use Splice at all, when we have this reference going here, let's try it again. It will give you the key. I don't know if it'll do it that much with this because it's actually just a little drum sample. But let's try with one of these vocals. So we'll... I feel like this needs to be improved a little bit because I'm going to get out of it and go back in because for some reason this should give us the key right away, like down here. So this goes to the sounds and it gives you the key for those sounds, but what you can tell is, yeah. Anyways, this should be giving us, it's supposed to give us the key, but anyways, we'll play around with it at some point and do a little bit more in depth, but this should be able to give us the key of this sample, and then that's sort of nice to have in the tool. If you have Melodyne, there's another way to do it, which is pretty easy as well, as you could take it. A lot of people don't know about this, but you just drop it here on Melodyne on your bar, and it will give you the key E flat major here. So it's just another way to do it. But anyways, we're not talking about Melodyne today. But anyways, this is supposed to give us the key, but yeah, we'll have to play around with it. But anyways, you should be able to, that can help even if you don't have the account. But this is nice to have the access to the sounds here that are included. So we'll have to go through at some point. Like I said, I have a feeling these will end up being overused, but some of them it might not matter that they're like a hand clap. Some nice, actually, that's a really nice hat. So anyways, so that's Splice. And then where they get saved, that's what we were trying to figure out here. You can change, they mentioned that you can change. So it goes under user library sample Splice by default, but you can change, because what I would do is I've always had in my sound libraries, I have a Splice folder, and go all the way down to S. So this is the folder here. So you can set that to whatever. I could set it to that folder if I don't want a whole new folder under. And this is nice too, because you can use it outside of there. I'm not sure licensing wise if you can use it outside of Ableton Live, but I'm assuming, I don't know. But anyways, so we should be able to do that here. Temporary folder, sample folder. There should be a Splice. There we go. Splice, download folder, user library, custom folder. You can just set it there. So yeah, that gives you the option of where you want your samples to be saved, and it does save the samples, so you don't have to be connected to Splice every time you want to use every time you open up your project. So that's really nice to have. The cool built-in, and that's so that's one thing that I find that's missing is, you know how we did this. So we can take this, the acapella here, bring it in here, and it will give us some sounds that are similar to it. But one thing that I noticed, so it'll have these, but there's two things. There are two things missing, as you can tell. One is the included sounds. Like there's no link here to find which included sounds might match that. So these are obviously all paid sounds. And let's just do this. As soon as you try to bring one in, it asks you for a plan. The other thing is it doesn't show you, there's no button to show the ones in your library. I figured, okay, so this is the reference vocal here. Maybe if we go to library, it'll keep the reference, and then we're able to find sounds that we bought already from Splice and see if there's something that matches. No, the one purpose of this is to sell you a plan and sell you more sounds. So I do not like that. I hope that's something that they'll add down the road. I could see it be pretty useful to be able to access your library of Splice sounds in this. It'd be even nicer if you could mix it all together, even though Ableton does have a feature, and you may not know this, it's relatively new, but if there is a sound, you can find similar sounds from there's a few different ways. I talked about it in some other videos, but if you go into your drum kit or whatever, you can find similar sounds so pretty easily. So we have it there now. We have it Splice. If we don't have a similar sound, we can get it through Splice. If you don't like having this Splice, if you know you're not going to use it at all, you can go here and right click here, hide from sidebar, and it's gone. And then I'm assuming if we want it back, we'll have to go into settings, because I'm going to be wondering why it's not there anymore. Settings, there is a show Splice. There we go. On, off, and it's the same for push and cloud. If you don't have an Ableton push like standalone, that you can turn that off here. You don't have to go here anymore. You can actually go right in here. So that's nice to have as well. So okay, I think that's for Splice. Oh yeah, and another thing that would have been nice is the Serum presets, and that's something people were asking about, but I doubt it's in there. I think it really is just, it's just going to be wave sounds. So hold on, one shots and loops. Yeah, loops are one shots. We don't have an option for presets. That would be really nice to have, to be able to drop a sound in there, see which presets might match, even though I understand that could be a little complicated, but they do have like wave previews for like sample audio previews for each of their presets. So I feel like it's something they could work on, but anyways, and maybe they will, because the presets cost more than 1 credit, so they'll sell a lot more if they're selling presets as well. But anyways, it's a nice beginning point. I don't know how often I'll be using this. I do like the fact that the library's in here, though, of the sounds that I did get from Splice. So I've got 1,900. Wasn't this 1980? Oh yeah, okay, it was 1980 earlier, and then we have 2 new sounds that were the included ones. So I guess as soon as you use them, they get added to your regular library, which is interesting. But yeah, it's sort of nice to be able to go through the sounds that I like, the samples that I do have already, and specifically see what I got on Splice. There are other plugins that I use for that as well, to be able to easily preview my my sounds. There's Cosmos from Waves. There's an ADSR one, I believe, and but it's nice to be able to go check your old Splice samples and yeah. Anyways, might be a way to use up some of the get some use out of some of these credits that you've used over the years if you've been doing that for a long time. So, okay. The first actual new device is going to be, well, actually, it's the only new device, I believe, the Pan-Tremolo. So I'm just going to figure out what I'll do here. Is I'm going to go to, because the best way to show this is going to be with a pad sound. So I'm just going to go into Serum, choose a random preset. We'll find some sort of a pad with not too much movement in this case. Okay, obviously we're not getting the right one. There we go. This will be perfect. So we'll just play a chord here. And what I'm going to do is just okay, we'll make it last a little bit longer. So we're going to go to, yeah, I don't like how this Splice thing is a completely different color. But then again, now that I think about it, it's probably better that it's a different color, because you realize that you're in Splice, you're sort of outside of regular Ableton. But anyways, okay, so we're going to go to the audio effects here. And we're going to load 2. So what we're going to do is load the original Pan, which is supposed to be in here. Okay, so there's Pan-Tremolo. This is a new one. And there should be an Pan Legacy. Okay, let's just go to the release notes here, because they do mention maybe... Okay, Pan-Tremolo updates. Pan now has an updated interface. We're going to go through a bunch of interesting settings in here, so that they added. But they do mention Legacy here somewhere, maybe at the end. So if you are using sets that contain Pan presets, a Legacy device will be in the audio. The Pan device remains available in the browser, has been renamed Pan Legacy. But for some reason, Pan... I do not see the Pan Legacy. I see Tremolo Legacy, but that's just that's very weird. I can load it up through. I thought I could load it up through Push, but yes, I have auto filter. I thought I had Pan in here. So let's just, okay, we'll just load up one of these Legacy ones, turn it off, and we can go from there. I don't know if we might be able to just reset this. No, okay. Okay, so the Pan-Tremolo, it's got the panning, which I don't know if you've ever used Pan, but if you're listening with headphones or stereo speakers of some sort, you'll notice it's going left and right. We can go completely left and right now. And what we used to do, if we wanted the tremolo effect, because this wasn't here, what we would do is we would fix up the shape so it's 100%, and then bring the amount all the way, and then you did, oh no, it was this here. So you would take this. It was set up differently on here. It was the phase and the off, whatever. So this is how we want, if we wanted a little bit of tremolo, even if we... So that's how we would set up the tremolo with the panning. So it was just a, you know, a trick to do it. I would use this once in a while for stuff like this. But now the tremolo is built in, and so this is a little bit more extreme. So this is almost the equivalent of what we had here, right? You can tell it sounds pretty well the same. So it's nice that it's built in here now. So it's just, it really saves. All we were doing here is we were taking these two where it's going left and right, and we were just matching them so they're both the same, so that's where the tremolo was. So it's sort of nice that they included that in there. The thing is, I don't love how they're mixing different plugins into one, even though I understand how it's nice, but I'm so used to, if I want to do a certain thing, I load one plugin. If I want to do something else, I load the other one. Now it's like, okay, the tremolo, oh yeah, that's right, there's a tremolo in here, but it makes sense in a way because, like I said, this is the same effect on here. So, but one of the things here that's interesting is that you're able to, so let's just go and one of the things we're able to do here is the attack. If you bring this up, you can see how the beginning sort of gets more narrow, and then as it goes, it gets bigger. So if you listen to it, this is what happens now. So you can tell what we're going to do. We're going to make this extreme. And here we go. This should be able to. So it should start out just a little bit. And I could see this being really useful for like a choir sample type of thing where, here I can show you actually. So if we go to set up an audio track here, and I don't know if this sample pack is still available, but this is one of my favorite sample packs ever, the Zim Choirs. It's Hans Zimmer, and I just want a long sustained note. If we can find a long sustained note, like this one could work where, okay, we'll just copy this onto here since we did all the settings already. And then we'll do this instead. Oops, let's get rid of this. Oh, we'll take off the warp because it's sounding weird. Oh, where did that go? I thought, didn't we add this already? Okay. Okay. Now we obviously don't want this as extreme, but this will give it a little bit of variation. It's not vibrato, like what you can have vibrato where the voice will go ah and sort of shake a little bit. That's not what we want, but just have it. So you can just add a little bit of depth to it. And then there's something else that you can do here. And you could use this as well as sidechain, almost like the pumping effect. If you wanted to go extreme where you go time here, we'll remove the attack. And if we had turned on the metronome, and if we go to a bit of an extreme, and oh no, this is time. We want the synced. So if you want to have that sort of pumping effect match to your track, whatever you've got, it's an easy way to do it. So that's really nice to have. But okay, let's go back to this one here. And I'm just going to stop playing this one. So this was this here. But if we go to here, there's some sort of harmonic mode here. I haven't had a chance to play around with yet, but actually, you know what? I'm going to drop a new. And drop a new one just so we start it again from scratch. Okay, so if we have it here, and this one here, we'll add, you can tell like here where it's not all matched, like we have it here, or if we have it on here, everything's even. So if we have it here, you're going left to right, left to right, left to right. But if we press this button here, see where the pattern sort of changes, and they sort of like, it sort of goes off and then it comes back and it goes off. So obviously this is a little bothersome at those extremes. But for a patch like this where you want to have a little bit of movement, you could do that. And I'll get rid of the metronome. It's subtle, but you can feel a little bit of movement around, but it's not like steady. And that's the thing a lot of the time with Autopan stuff. And I'm realizing that now, like that's something that was annoying sometimes because it would be always there. Like if you have a hi-hat, like your hi-hat loop or whatever, if it's always going left, right, it just, I don't know, it just sounds a little bit fake. But it's nice to have a little bit more movement so you could have your left, right the way you want it, but also have this a little bit over it, just moving stuff around a little bit. It just gives you a little bit of a feel of, it's just like random movement. And then let me see here if it has it on the tremolo. That's probably why it wasn't showing up earlier. Okay, so I don't think we can do it on the tremolo, which is too bad because it could have been useful there, just that randomization. But anyways, there may be a reason and there may be a different setting that I'll have to play around with. But anyways, that is a very useful little feature in there. Okay, so let me go through some of the questions I had about this. The slow attack, the tripod. Okay, no, we did all that. So, and then this filtery thing, what it's really doing here, I don't know if they mention it in here. I think it's basically doing something around 600 hertz where it's like the over is doing something, the under is doing something. It's almost like multiband, but I don't know. Anyways, it does something interesting. So that's sort of nice to have in here. And so that's and then for some reason, the Autopan, I don't see it in here, but it's supposed to be in here where you should be able to use the original Autopan legacy. And if you load up an old project that has the Autopan, like the Autopan originally in there, it will still show up as it was before. It will be this device here and it'll just show as legacy. So, okay, bounce group tracks. This is an interesting one because I was actually, I'm one of the admins for the Ottawa Ableton users group. And we were having a meeting the other day, and I was like, what is your use case for this? Because people are really excited for the bounce group tracks. And I was like, I can't figure out a use case for myself for this. And as we talked, I was like, wait a minute, like, because I do music for television shows. So a lot of the time they want the stems separated. So you'll have the drums separated from whatever, the drums and the bass separated from whatever. And I've been like exporting each one individually, and it occurred to me as we were talking about it, I'm like, wait a minute, I could just do it this way. It could save me a lot of work. So there are use cases for this. I hadn't realized that I had one, but anyways, there's some usefulness to it. So let's, Yeah, I'm trying to find out of stuff that we've done already so we can, but okay, we'll just take this. It doesn't even really matter what it is here. So we'll group this track here and, okay, let me get this. Wow, we went through a lot of these. So this bongo here, let me get that in with the group itself. Move, let's go. No? All right, there we go. So where's this group here? So we'll have this. So all it will be when we play it, it'll be that and then this. So if we, for some reason, wanted to group this, there are two ways to do it. We can do it in the session view. It might be easier to do it in the arrangement view just for the visuals of it. So let's just record here. Okay, and it didn't put in this because it's not looped. So we'll just put that in here. So, okay, so now we've got, if we go back to, so that's the group. So basically, if we want to go here, we just say, okay, we want this section here. We can just do bounce the group to new track or bounce in place. So bounce in place will do it. It'll print it. You can't reuse it. Bounce to a new track is probably ideal because then you can go make changes to what you have. The interesting thing is this didn't take very long and it mutes everything automatically from that group. So when we play it, we're not playing two versions of it. So here we have that sample basically created from what we had from our two sounds here. So if we go to the beginning, we should be able to see that. So we've got that bongo at the beginning and then this. So it's an interesting way to do this. There's another interesting thing too, while we're at this. This is probably the next section, but I just want to make sure we didn't miss anything here before we move to the next one, but it should be good. One thing that they do mention, which is interesting because I was trying to figure out if I would want this on or off, and I think it makes sense. So if you're sending, actually, we can do that now. If we do it again, and we throw these, we'll go back here, and we'll throw a bunch of reverb on these. And delay. So these are, I'm just doing to the sends. This is just I think this is the basic one that comes with Ableton, like when you get Ableton Live. It's just the reverb they've set up and the delay. So now, if we press, so if we go here now, we will try this again. And what you'll notice is, as we do this, why doesn't it let me do the group anymore? Why doesn't it let me do to the new track anymore? That's a little bit weird. We're doing the same thing as earlier, aren't we? So if we do bounce track in place, that's weird. I'm not sure why it doesn't let us, if you guys know, let me know in the chat, because that's really weird. And there's no sound. So, for some reason, these are... Okay, so... yeah, that's weird. These are deactivated for some weird reason. So we'll do this. Okay, we'll go reactivate them. Sorry about that. And we'll do activate clip. Go back here. Now we should be cooking with gas. I haven't used that expression in a very long time. Okay, so there we go. Bounce a group to new track, which should have. But the interesting thing... yeah, thanks. Yeah, they. I don't know why. Why did they get deactivated? That's really interesting. Thanks, Richard, for trying to make sense of that because it's weird. I must have done something without thinking, but so as you can tell now, they have that delay, and it's not, if we go back here, it's not because like this isn't sending to the delays. The delay is built into this track. You can tell actually there's some delay here, there's a reverb here. So it's sort of nice that it includes that because, especially in my case, where I'll be exporting specific stems, I want those effects to be on those stems. Otherwise, because the TV shows a lot of the time, you send everything with stems because they like to re-edit. Like if they need to make it shorter, they don't want to just cut it off or fade it or whatever. They'll like do basically their own little remix edit of it, so it ends in the right spot. So yeah, we need those effects built into the stems, so it makes sense that those effects are built in. So anything you send to the sends will be included right in there. So yeah, I don't know why those those were deactivated. Thanks for helping me sort that out, because I don't know, that didn't make sense. But anyways, that's probably, yeah, that makes sense because we were using the same tracks that we've bounced already. So I guess that's probably why, right? But anyway, so it's nice that the sends are included in that track. But there's something else that's interesting in here. So if we take this here, and we may have to reactivate this for it to work. But if we want to take this and like, this is just MIDI. If we go here, this is MIDI. It's just MIDI running Serum here. And so what we're able to do here is, this is just a MIDI clip. We copy it just normally, but if we go here, we'll create a new audio track here. And then actually, you know what, let's just do this at the end here. Create an audio track. And then if we go, like I said, I just did copy, nothing fancy. And then if I do paste, this will just put the MIDI in. But if I right click here, and I think there's it's paste bounced audio. So we do paste bounced audio, and then what's the shortcut here again? It's yeah, so you're looking at option command V. So instead of just command V, it's you press option as well. I'm assuming on Windows it'd be alt control V. But anyways, yeah, so this created an audio file. So here, if we solo this, it created an audio file from this MIDI clip here, which is like fascinating. I don't know, this is making my brain work too hard. It's fascinating. And the options this brings is, even here, like this auto Pan-Tremolo, if you have any sort of randomization, like you could technically take this clip here and copy it and then paste it a bunch of times. And as like each randomized version will be a little bit different. And if you make changes on it, here, and they talk about it here in the paste. If you make changes on it, then you can keep repasting with your changes. The only thing is, if you delete this, if we do copy here, and from what I understand, they mention here that you can't, if the material is deleted, the paste bounced audio command. So if we copy this, so this should work normally, and then we delete it, then if we go here and we try to paste it here, yeah, see, we can't paste bounced audio anymore. So don't delete anything until you've pasted it. If you even if you hit copy, it's not really in the memory. So okay, so that's paste bounced audio. I find that interesting, really interesting. If you want to get a bunch of variations of your same clip, that will be really useful. So Ableton has done some stuff over the years. Like, one of the things that they had was where you can, like here, if we go here, we solo this, we can start playing MIDI from the middle of a MIDI clip. And a lot of DAWs weren't, and I think some still aren't able to do that. We can start it anywhere in this clip and it'll play. And I don't know, it's just magic. Like, and having, it may not seem like anything special if you've only been using it for a little bit, but if you use it like for years, where that never seemed even like a possible thing, like physically to be able to do. So anyways, yeah, it's interesting that they do have that paste to bounced audio. Let's look. Okay, the device A/B comparison. This is an interesting one. And the thing is, the use cases that they have are not the best examples because there are better ways to use this. But basically what they're saying, and I like that they did this on all of their devices. So we can go back. I'm going to be using this one quite a bit. So let's, we'll go back here to this one here. We'll go to a little bit more extreme. And actually we'll do tremolo in case you're not in case you don't have access to stereo speakers right now, so you can hear a little bit more what we're doing. So basically we have this, and you basically have two of each device built in. So we've seen this on some plugins, like if you use the Waves plugins, if you use the Plugin Alliance plugins, a lot of them do, where you'll have A/B and you can do it. But this one works across the board in all of the Ableton devices. I don't think it works. I wonder if it works if we drop in a, no. Okay, yeah, no, not for external plugins, but that would have been nice. Okay, so anyways, so if we have this and we want to compare it to something else, if we want to figure out even if tremolo is better or panning on this specific track, because the way they say you can use it, you just press P or B. I always get mixed up. So let's go here. Hold on. Switch to B, compare to B. And switch to A. So I should be able to just hit P. Oh yeah, because I have this in the MIDI keyboard. So if you have their MIDI keyboard set up, which I don't even know why I have it on, but we can go back to here and you just have to hit, I think it's Option at the same time, or it's one of these. Shift maybe? Yeah, Shift. So you just have to hit Shift if you're using the keyboard. But anyways, it's nice to just be able to hit P. Thank you. Richard's helping me out today. You know what? It's getting to be like, it was a long day and everything made sense like earlier on. And it's like the further the day goes, the more like, anyways. Yeah, my brain's not working. Hey, this world needs a hero. Nice to see you. You just updated. You only have standards, so no stems for you. You're thinking of upgrading. Yeah, Ableton sale, it's really worth doing it during the sale because they don't generally have like huge, it's not like it'll be 75% next month, you know? So, I don't know. The suite version is useful for a lot of stuff, I think. And I know you make a lot of music, so I think you'll find it definitely useful for to have the suite, and just not having to think, oh yeah, I don't have this, oh do I have this, do I have that. So but yeah, so okay, so as Richard says, P. So here we go. So we can switch between the two. So let's say we've got this sound where like, would it be better with tremolo or with panning? Like, do we want it to move? That's the interesting thing with this device is now it's like you can move stuff side to side and up and down. So it's sort of nice to have that all built in. But if you're sitting there, you're thinking, will this pad sound better moving side to side or up and down? Like up and down as in the level, the amplitude. So I like it this way. And we just hit P here. Actually, hold on, this is a little bit extreme. Just adjust the shape here so it's a little less extreme. There we go. Okay. And what I'm noticing here is I don't want this tremolo to be as extreme. So we're going to bring down the amount just so it's moving a little bit in volume. So we have to remember to just press on it to be able to. The thing is, though, that I was thinking is I'd love if it had a mix of the two, because like even in this case, I could see this panning. We're going to go a little bit more extreme with the panning, but if we go here, I'd like to have a mix of the two, which would be nice because you'd have the volume going up and down. And so it would be nice if you could just morph the two or whatever. And I'm hoping they'll add that at some point because it seems sort of logical. But anyways, so because the way they mention that you can use it is to compare how it is for with or without the effect. So if we had the just let's load it from scratch again, and so this is just the default, and then we can go here. You can actually copy the stuff, so we can have copy A to B, and then when we go here, B will be exactly the same, but we can make some more extreme changes. So we'll do this and fix up the frequency. And you can compare this to the default. But like in theory, we were able to do that by just automating this and just setting up a shortcut for this, like just a key map and just setting whatever you want. But it does save a little bit of time, but it'll be nice to be able to, like, if you're even with the panning, if you've got it two different ways, like I said, if we want to have the same thing, but just a different speed. It's nice to be able to compare stuff really quickly. So, and I love that shortcut. There's just one. You don't have to figure out, oh yeah, is this one Command, Option, Control, Shift, or whatever. So anyways, that's a nice little thing to have. And like I said, I love that they put this on all of the devices so you don't have to think. And I'm pretty sure it's on the Max for Live devices as well. And I'm even going to load... I'm going to load an old Max for Live device, just something random, and see. Nope, this one does not have it. So let's just go for a normal Max for Live device. We'll go an audio effect here. And that's basically nothing. It's just a template, but... Okay, so it may not be on Max for Live devices. Ignore what I just said. But anyways, that'll be really nice to have. It's on all of the Ableton devices. So, and I believe you can have it on the synths as well, like on the instruments as well. Let's try that for a second. So let's do Drift. Drift is the one that you have on every version, right? On intro too. So. Yeah, so you do have this. So that's really interesting on a synth because you can make two different sounds. What I've been wondering, though, is if we do this, I'm sure this won't work, but I want to check just in case. No, hold on. That's not what we want. I want to take Drift, and instead of the search, I want to go find a Drift preset here. And we'll drop it on here. And these are the questions that I had that I want to answer on this stream. So, and what I want to figure out is, but I'm sure I know the answer to this. I wanted to see if we're able to take a drift preset and set up a separate drift preset on B, and I'm sure we can't. But if ever we can, let me know if that's wrong. And one thing that I would like is, I'm wondering if, I don't think, but I'm wondering if we can save the AB in a preset, and then what happens, yeah, we should check that probably, because what happens if, so we'll have, we'll do the B on here, and have the octave way up. We won't play this because it will sound, so okay. So we've got A and B, and we will save this now, and then we'll just do temp delete anytime because otherwise it'll end up messy. Okay, so we can actually get rid of this completely. So if we load this preset here, let's see if we have, Yeah, okay. Okay, so this tells us something though, because it did not save the B. And what that tells us is, actually, no, hold on. Yeah. So what that tells us is your stuff on B won't be saved. Does that make sense? Okay, let's see how they explain it here. So compare switch A to B, different device states. Each state can have its own, assess the differences. Okay, so we went through this with the P to copy. You can move the stuff over. Okay, so they really don't mention that, but I missed something, because if we go here, yeah, like this really should be saving. So yeah, so you want to make sure that your stuff that you're using is going to be on A, but that hardly makes sense. Like, okay. Well, anyways, just make sure that the stuff you're actually going to use when you're done with it. Oh, wait a second. Okay, do we need to start this over? Hold on. Move to trash. And we'll start over with drift. And we'll go to instruments here. Okay, so we've got drift here. And then when we go to P, we're going to bring this one 3 octaves up. So now we have them both going, and we want to save this preset. Again, temp, delete, anytime. Okay, so we're gonna remove this completely and bring it back in, and go to P. So they both have the 3, didn't we? Yeah, something's weird weird here. So okay, so on B we'll go to -2, and on A we're at +3. So we should have both here. Again, we're gonna save this. Try this one last time, and then we're moving forward. So this, yeah, so they both kept just the 3. So yeah, so if you're using stuff on B, you'll want to make sure that you copy it to A before saving. But that seems like a weird thing. I feel like this has to be updated at some point, because yeah, like if you save your project, it should keep them both, but if you save it as a preset, it will only save what's on A. So that's good to remember. So a lot of the time we end up working like back and forth. So yeah, you don't want to have to be thinking about it. But anyways, okay, so that's the A-B. Very simple thing, not a whole lot of extra instructions. Okay, this is where I found some really interesting stuff, because oh yeah, sorry, before we go with this, I just want to check one last thing. I wanted to see if we can automate the A-B, but I don't think we can. Yeah, okay, never mind. I wanted to see if we could automate A-B, so you could have your 2 settings back and forth through your track, but I don't think there's a way to do that. Okay, yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff in here that I call it hidden in the notes, because it's there, but like when there's a whole bunch of points like this and just all meshed together, it's a little bit like these the bug fixes, where it's like people don't really, read each one individually. But there's a few interesting things. Create arrangement MIDI clips in a definable. So I'm trying to figure out where I have this now. So, okay, in arrangement MIDI clips where the note start is not part of the arrangement will not be drawn, since they should not be played. So that's basically if a note starts before, when you look here, if the note starts here, it just won't show up at all. I actually like it when it shows up, because there's something there and you might want to move it in. But anyways, they fix it so that's not there anymore. Empty MIDI clip can now be used without time selection. Okay, so this is the interesting one here. So it used to be, if we wanted to create a MIDI clip here, you double click on it and it'll just do 1 bar. But now, apparently, if we select this, if we wanted it to be a 2-bar thing, nope. Because from what I understand here, they say, can now be used without time selection. Double clicking to create an empty MIDI clip in the arrangement view will now work when the grid cell is not completely empty. Oh yeah, shift while double clicking. Yeah, so if we press shift here, so like I said, if we just double click here, it'll create one bar wherever we are, right? But if we want this to be 2 bars, or even 4 here, we hit shift while we double click. Nope. We should be able to. Okay, so shift while we double click. There we go. You just have to click at the top of it. And yeah, so we can create as long as we want, because otherwise it would just create this when you double click. So if we do this, we press shift. I was wondering if we could lengthen it once it's done, but so you go on the last one. Okay, so we have to go to the last one. Did they mention that? By holding shift while double clicking. They don't mention it, but yeah, it's at the end of where you want. So that's sort of interesting, an interesting thing, if you know, because a lot of the time what we were doing is you'd create your clip here and hold on, that's not a MIDI clip. So you'd create it here and then you'd move it and then you'd extend it. So this saves a little bit of time. So that's sort of an interesting thing that they didn't really mention, but it's there. In the browser, there's one thing that I noticed that's interesting is, and I haven't tested this yet, but if we go to all and okay, their description of it is double clicking a tag in the quick tags. That's the section here we want. Okay, double clicking a tag in the quick tags now adds that tag to the search field and triggers a tag search. So if we've got the quick tags here, and actually that works out well. If we yeah, I'm not sure what. So if we click on one, it'll set that up and do the search, but we're not double clicking on it. And I think this has been there all along. So maybe I misunderstood what they were explaining with this one, but a tag to the search field. This isn't adding it to the search field. We're supposed to be able to. Okay, well, there's something we can do to bring it up to the search field. And yeah, so that'll be interesting to have. Once we figure out how that works, that'll be a separate video, I guess. And okay, okay, this is a big one. Let's go down here. So that's the browser stuff, clip view. There's some interesting little stuff. There's some new stuff with the move control surface. And especially if you're using, if you use Ableton Move, you may know that you can use all of the settings from Drift now in it. And so you've got different banks, and you can do that when you're using it as a control surface. So technically, if you have the little Ableton Move on your desk, you can control everything in the in the synth in is it Drift they use? Yeah, Drift. So that's sort of nice to have. But hold on, the big one here is about time-limited licenses. You have to double-click the tag at the bottom of the browser. Oh, there. Okay, I'm lucky you're here, Richard. Thank you so much. Let's go back to that. Let's see here. There we go. Okay, so if we double-click this one, actually, let's find a one where we'll have a little bit more stuff. So let's do type. We'll do. Okay, so FM. So you're saying if I double click here, there we go. Thank you so much. Okay, that makes sense. Did they even mention that? Because thank you so much. Okay, so I'm trying to see where they have that double click in the tags. Oh, quick tags panel. So I guess this is the quick tags panel. Okay, so if we go to virtual analog, that's interesting. So if we click on these, it will bring that as a search, and then we can add to the search as well, either add more tags, add more, if we want to bring it down to virtual analog and then search piano. Helps if we spell it right, so it brings the piano. Interesting. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. I knew there was something I was missing. So, okay, perfect. And then, okay, so this is the big one. A lot of people who have a time limited license. So either if they're on rent to own now, we haven't seen people have problems with it at this point because rent to own is so new. But and if you're wondering how that works, I actually did a video about it, and that I'm actually pretty proud of, like, yeah, what I put in there, so, like, how I went through it. So hopefully it could be useful for you if you're looking at the rent to own stuff. I ended up doing a bunch of research for it before doing it. So that's right, the fist bump. And but one problem that a lot of people have, and from what I understand, this is going to fix that, is a lot of people will do a trial for Suite, and they're working on stuff. And while they're working on their project, their license will expire. Or they're on the trial and their license is expired, and then they buy Ableton Live to be able to save the project, because you can't save when you're not on the trial and you're just on the trial version or whatever. You can save it while you're on the 30-day trial or whatever, but after that you can't, or if you're just loading it up without having it licensed. So they would buy it, and then once you buy it, it wouldn't recheck so they can save their project. And that was a problem for a lot of people. And over the years, I've heard so many people like panicking because of this really good project. They can't do with it. They can't export it even once they bought their license, and they get really sad. And this seems to have fixed, if I understand this right, they say when using time limited, here we go, this section here. When using time limited licenses such as rent to own, Live now periodically displays a progress dialog during runtime, and it attempts to reauthorize the license if the license has expired. Now, they mention rent to own, but I'm hoping they actually mean with the trials as well, because they do say time limited licenses, so the trial should fit in that. Hopefully, this is how it works. If no internet connection is available, a prompt to retry will be displayed. Otherwise, saving and exporting will be displayed. So from what I understand with this is you will be able to, and I'm not promising, don't go working on important projects in Live if you don't have it licensed already, because this may not work with the trials, but it will at least work with rent to own, where once they can figure out that yes, you do have a license in place, you're able to save and then keep going. So that's sort of a nice thing to have. SR Seiko, Senior Seiko says, I just updated to 12.3 and the option to separate stems isn't showing up for me. I have the standard Ableton version. I believe it's only available. Oh, there we go. This World Needs a Hero is being a hero and answering, which actually he's got the same problem you do. He was thinking of updating to Suite because of that. But yeah, I'm sorry to tell you, but yeah, you need the full version. So that's a little bit sad, and I totally understand that. But yeah, the Suite version. I actually did a live stream about that at some point. Like, I don't love the standard version. I feel like intro has its place. I feel like Suite has its place. And I feel that standard, I don't know, it's like, it's one of those things where there's not tons missing. Like, you've got a whole bunch of stuff, but the stuff that's missing is irritating. So it's sort of like, yeah, it's sort of that middle ground that I don't like as much as the two extremes. Obviously, Suite is quite a bit more expensive, but yeah, and it's on sale right now too. If you want to upgrade, I think that's what your friend This World Needs a Hero is going to be doing. So the upgrade is worth it if you're going to use stems as well as Max for Live. There's Max for Live, like there's from standard to, hold on, comparison. It always surprises me how many little things are in the full version, in the Suite version, that aren't in standard, because like obviously you have, you know, more tracks, more sounds, everything, but there's some stuff like, okay, stem separation is only in the Suite version. And then through that way at the beginning, like usually the stuff that's in the other versions, like they have lower where it goes. But hold on, let's go here. So, and then Max for Live, and then, yeah, so you have access to these. But once you get into the instruments, that's where it gets sort of interesting, where you've got all these on standard. So you've got a whole bunch of stuff, but you don't have bass which I should be using a little bit more. I use the Reason version, not Reason version, but there's a bass, mono bass, or I can't remember whatever it's called. And then Operator is a very interesting synth that you don't have in standard. The Poly, the sampler, instead of just Simpler, I end up using Simpler most of the time. But Wavetable, which is the equivalent of Serum in a way, like I don't want to say the equivalent, but you know, it's similar to how Serum works. And then Meld, which is one that I find really nice sounding, and Granulator 3 that I love playing around with, and I have to sit around and use it a little bit more, but it's got that, and then a bunch of extra packs. But some of these, let's see here, and then the effects, yeah, so amp, cabinet, if you do guitar stuff, those will be useful. I don't use them very often. Color limiter, I always forget, is even in there. The convolution reverb, that would be my reason to go to Suite from standard, is that convolution reverb. It's based on Max for Live, which I believe is probably the reason why it's in here, but like it's just on the Suite version. But this reverb is, anyways, it's fantastic. I've been using it since before it was even built into it. Yeah, convolution reverb, definitely something that's worth the upgrade as well. The echo, like I couldn't live without this echo, and the reason is here. Let's just go here. I'll get back to the update stuff in a second, but the echo, for this one reason here, is this ducking. If you bring it down when you've got delay going, you can duck it so the delay isn't going while you're singing, let's say, and you want to have some delay. It won't be like fighting with you while the vocals are there. It'll just go in. You can fix it so like the delay just shows up when there's a pause in the vocals or whatever. So anyways, I couldn't live without echo at all. Gated delay, which I rarely use. The hybrid reverb, which is basically the new version of this convolution reverb, but it basically is the original Ableton reverb mixed with it. Pedal, like this is all stuff that's only in Suite, and then spectral blur, like there's a bunch of stuff in here. And Roar is, I do mostly house music and stuff like that, and you wouldn't think that I'd need Roar for, it's more of a distortion type thing, and I use this for a whole bunch of stuff, so saturation and stuff. So yeah, Roar is really worth it. So there's This World Needs a Hero saying yeah, I need those extra effects. Yeah, like people don't think about all of these things here. Like you automatically think, and honestly, Max for Live is more useful. A lot of people are like, I'm not going to go design my stuff. Max for Live is useful, even if you don't design your stuff, because a lot of people will do, like if I go in my user library here, I don't use it tons, but if I go to Max for Live, I've got devices here, like you can use them for like randomizing stuff. There's actually one I'm going to show you in a few minutes that will be really useful as well. So it's useful because some people have built different tools, and I don't know, it's nice to have. It's not one of those things that I feel that like I would absolutely need to have, but I sort of would, because some of the devices that I use are based on Max for Live in here. So, but anyways, yeah, Roar is next level. I agree. Like there's something about Roar. The first time I tried it, I was like, there's something about it that it just makes some interesting sounds for anything you work on. So anyways, okay. Let's go back here, and I feel like I have to sneeze. Okay. So yeah, so the time limited licenses, and okay, so we went through that, and yeah, so I think we went through this, most of the stuff from the update, but there's a couple stuff here. So then they mentioned about the new stuff in Max for Live, and then there's performance stuff and setup stuff. But you can tell there's a couple things missing in here, and we got to go to just the Ableton site, which I remembered these being in my original live stream when they did the announcement. I was like, I feel like there were a couple of extra things, and they mentioned them here. The generators by Iftah. So this is a pack that basically runs as a clip, and I'm I think I had set up. Wow, we did a lot today. I think I have some clips here that I was going to use for this, or maybe I don't. I thought I had a drum kit that I had planned on using for this. Okay, so I've got, okay, this is one of them. Okay, so basically, if you want this, search generators, and then you'll go here to, you'll have to go to packs. And then under packs, I installed it here, but you won't have it here if you didn't install it. And you can go to Ableton Live, but there was another way that I did it, which was, oh yeah, probably because of generators. So if you go here to the bottom, okay, there's two things we have to, if I forget, please remind me to mention the stuff about Expressive Chords in a minute. But anyways, so you see this, the available packs. The number obviously will be different for you depending on what you've got installed. So you go to available packs here, and this is where you'll go to generators, and it will be here. Obviously it's not here because I have it installed already. It's actually a really simple pack. It's very short, and let's go back here. Generators. There we go. It's basically got two, like it's just a small file. It's like 1 meg or something, one and some. But so it's got two parts to it. One of them is Sting, which is, let me just create a new MIDI track. We'll load it from scratch here. Okay, so one of them is Sting, and this is basically, hold on, we have A. When you install it, it will show you this. The view, help view. So when you install it, it will show you this. This is generators. Okay. So it'll show you the instructions here. You can go to help under view, help view or whatever, and that'll bring them up. And $239 to upgrade from standard to suite right now. Yeah. And a lot of the time, if you go to Thomann, is that how you pronounce it? They tend to have really good deals. So it's a big store in Europe. It's, I guess, the equivalent of, you know, Sweetwater and all that stuff here. Well, in the States. Here in Canada, it's Long and McQuaid. But and a lot of the time, they will have a deal on the upgrade that is even better. So you may want to look at that as well. But anyways, okay, so this here, so Sting is basically a MIDI tool for, it's basically to make patterns like 303 patterns. Like, and hold on. I think they have a better explanation here. Generators by Iftah. Because there's two different ones in it. One of them is more for percussions. One of them is more for like acid bass lines and stuff. So yeah, so they show, we can play just a little bit of this. And if you don't know what an acid bass line is, it's like, you've heard it in stuff for sure. It's got sort of that sound. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah. So and it's an interesting sound, but the problem is with this is just to generate the pattern. But I found something just before going live where that could be useful. So we've got Sting is the one for the acid line stuff, and then patterns is the one for drums. We'll look at patterns afterwards. We'll look at Sting first. I've always liked the concept of this. This was available on its own as a Max for Live device, and I don't know, I just like the smiley face. I don't know why. But if we go, basically here, it won't play anything because I don't have an instrument on here. But if we go and we generate, like, it will generate a bass line. It goes with these generators. That's why it's sort of weird, because you'll load it on, you'll be like, where is it? Like, it's not set up with your devices here. Like, usually a Max for Live device will be here. And yeah, so it just shows up along with these where you've got rhythm seed. If you don't use these, it's worth using, especially if you want to have a little bit of randomization in your stuff, like just to add some ear candy to your tracks. Like if you want to have a little bit of percussion in the background, you can generate some interesting patterns with this. But yeah, so it shows up in here. And right now we're gonna So there's nothing there. The problem is you have to find a 303. And if you search here for 303 in sounds, you'll have a basic 303 bass, but I think I tried this one and it did not sound very good. So let's see what. Actually, that sounds pretty good. Okay, so this one's usable. And then if we go back here, you can change the density, you can change, and then you can just keep it. So you can use that. Actually, I would use that. That's actually a pretty good sound. But if you have Acid Box as a plugin, you probably do not. It's not like one of the super popular ones that everyone has, like Serum or whatever, but it is an interesting plugin. And this one here, we have to turn off, because if we play this, it's actually playing the pattern from this, but we can go to MIDI in. And okay, the delay is annoying on here. So you can tell what it's trying to do. So that is another useful one, but if you do have the Suite version, and I know this won't apply to a few of you, the Senior Sako and This World Needs a Hero, and I don't want to make you guys feel bad about not having Max for Live, but once you do have it, then that opens up an extra possibility, which is this here, which is the same guy that made the this clip thing, like this the generator. He created a simple synth for 303 stuff called Slippery Slope. I'm not sure what the paid versions have, but there is a free version. So if you search for Slippery Slope Iftah, you'll be able to try that. And then I have it here. You may have seen it earlier when we loaded these Max for Live devices that I had in my list. But actually, we'll go Max here. And actually, we can just go Slippery Slope, I guess. Oh, it's under user library, I guess. There we go. So if we drop this in here, instead of Acid Box, we drop this. This is just a very simple, so we'll just have the same thing. And really, like, the 303, it's the cutoff and the resonance you're playing with. That's where most of your... It's where most of your stuff comes from. And then you can take this and keep generating new patterns if you want. So you can tell, like this sound here, the one near the beginning, you've heard that in a bunch of tracks. Like, so it's all good. I'm here to see what I'm missing out and learning. That's awesome. And yeah, so if you have access to Max for Live, you get this device and it's an easy way to do it. But like I said, like I actually really liked the sound of this 303 that was built in. Let's go back to it here, which I searched earlier, didn't find it, but, and again, it's the same thing, right? The filter cutoff and the resonance. So if we play with those. So yeah, so you have access to this in here, and this should be available in everything. I'm trying to see what, oh, it's using Wavetable. So again, I think that's Suite only. So you may not have it in standard. I thought I found a solution for you. But anyways, you should be able to find a 303 or an Acid bass plugin. There are tons of free ones anyways. So even if you don't have the Suite version, you'll be able to find. But it's just, you do need that audio because this generator is just a generator. It's just generating MIDI. So that is the Sting one. And then there's a different one that comes with it, which is, let's go back and find these. So the other one is Patterns. And this one is going to be, hold on, Rhythm. That's just the normal ones. There we go. Patterns. There we go. So And this one took me some time. Like, you'll have to play around with this one a little bit because it does take a little bit of time to sort it out. Let's just get any kit, really. So we load up the kit, and again, we end up, oh, we're gonna get rid of this other one. But again, we load up this kit, and then you're like, oh yeah, where was it? It's on the clip. It's not a device that's separate. So, okay, so we have here, it's just our drum kit. And we're gonna do the same thing that we did earlier. So we're gonna generate a few things, and we'll just hit play and see what. And these won't be like whole beats. Like, a lot of the time you'll want to use this. My first thing I generally do with these things is I'll usually drop the kick drum and use the rest of it. But we're gonna see what it sounds like just overall. And then you've got your closed cymbal or open. And okay. And this isn't affecting the sound, this is just affecting the MIDI itself. So let's try a different kit. You know what? I like to use this most of the time. I wasn't going to do this, but this is the way I use it most of the time, is just with the hi-hats or like the upper percussions and stuff. So if we go like this, and it doesn't sound that amazing with this, but one thing I noticed earlier is if we take this and then we do a sample. This is just a preview of another one. You sort of feel where this could sort of go. But okay, so the first thing about this is that there's no like groove to it, but you can use, if you've got stuff in your groove pool, which I do here, you can just add stuff from the groove pool in here and start to, yeah, this does not sound good at all. Let's just find a better kit. Even if we just take this. Yeah, $239 is a lot if there's just the one option. So you may want to wait and see until you need a little bit more. And I mean, there are other ways to do your stem separation at this point too. Like, I don't know if you either have another DAW, some DAWs will have it in there, like Logic or whatever, or if you, I think a lot of people use la.ai or something. I haven't used it, but yeah, so it's really weird how because these kits aren't like matched to it. That's the problem. We got to find a kit that'll sound interesting with it. But if we take this bass drum here, because see, what I thought at the beginning is I thought if we remove this, then it will mute the bass drum, but it doesn't. Like, this doesn't mute the kick. It's just that when we generate it, it'll generate everything else but leave the kick as is here. But if we take these and you press 0, so you just click on whichever the drum is you want, press 0, and then it'll remove it. So this here is a little bit more workable, except for this big, is it this one here? There's something here that's, so, this cymbal. And even if we remove this snare here, and then if we were to add this with a kick drum, or actually here, we can just do, it's adding to it. I'm just playing the preview just because it's an easy way to load the loop. But anyways, you can play around with this a lot, and you can choose which one. Once there's something that you like, you turn it off. That basically just locks it into place, and then you can keep generating stuff for all the other ones, and then you keep moving it around, and then keep generating a few extra things, and eventually you have the beat that you like. So it's an interesting way to use it, and nobody seems to be talking about it. And yeah, so it's that's an interesting little update in there. the last one, I believe, is... Yeah, the last one should be, and again, they don't mention it in the release notes, I don't think, unless I missed it, but they mention it here on Ableton. I thought I had this loaded already, but they mention it in here, way at the bottom, where they mention this Expressive Chords as a chord edit mode, letting you transpose selected chords or enter your own using the learn function. And like they just drop it in here, but this is actually a really useful feature. If you don't have Expressive Chords, that's what I was saying, remind me later. If we go to the packs here, if you do have Expressive Chords already, you'll want to go down here and there should be an update. We'll remove this. There should be an update button here and it will show up as one of the things you have to update. You have to update it if you want to have access to this new feature. So if you don't have it, it'll be under these available packs. And since a bunch of you are not on comparison Ableton Live, are not on Suite, I just want to see if you have access to this one. And Expressive, I should have. Oh, there's a lot. Why isn't it? It's not showing up. Chords. I'm not seeing Expressive Chords in here, and it really should be here somewhere. Okay. Do you guys have access to Expressive Chords? If Expressive Chords Ableton, this will tell us which versions have it. Oh yeah, okay, so you're good. So you guys have access to this, even if you have a standard or intro, everything, as long as you've got Ableton Live 12, because it got added in 12. So if you're on Ableton Live 11, any version, you won't have access to this. But if you haven't played around with this Expressive Chords, it's really interesting in a lot of ways. The interesting thing about this too is it's available in intro, but it's actually a Max for Live device. So they always say like, you only have access to Max for Live if you have Suite, but like obviously it's built in enough that you can have access to this with one of the lower versions or whatever. So anyways, you do have access to this. And the interesting thing about this, we'll have to create something new because it's a little bit different than what we've been working on. I'm just going to go to, actually, we'll go to, I don't use this very often, but we'll just use the electric plugin, our device in Ableton. Okay, so it's just basically an electric piano. And then we will do Expressive Chords, which is here. And basically this one here, I find it's a really easy way to get some interesting sounds. You can strum, you can even automate the strum, because you don't want this always to be the same. So if you automate this or you throw an LFO on it just to add a little bit of variation, there's a lot of stuff you can do. But the interesting thing with this is you've got the chords preset in it. And I would love them to bring scale awareness to this device. And I don't know why they haven't done it yet. And they have to do it at some point. Please, anybody at Ableton watching, please add the scale awareness to this. It'll just make things easier and quicker. But yeah, so, and you've got different presets that will have different chords in them. You can also take a MIDI file. And if you've got a MIDI file with a bunch of chords, you can take that, drop it in here, and it will take your chords from your MIDI file and put them where you can press them, play each chord by playing one button, which is really nice, especially if you're doing live performance stuff or whatever. There are a lot of uses for this. But it used to be this chord was this chord and that's it. And from what I understand is now, yeah, there we go. So this is edit, and there's an edit button now and transpose. See, they've got transpose, like they're so close to having it scale aware, but we can transpose everything up and down. And it's learn, so you can, so if we're doing this from I'm assuming we do learn. And then this should be the new chord. So this is a new chord here. And then if we go, oh no. And then if we go here, this chord here. And this chord here, if we want to change it, we can just do learn. You can just play your chord. So it might be good. This one has some all along, but if you've only got like 4 or 5 chords here, if you brought in a MIDI file, you can add extra chords just by playing them. The interesting thing too, I'm noticing now, is even when I'm doing this, the strum actually works for live input, which I wouldn't have expected. So if I turn this off, this is all I'm playing, just a triad, and I'm assuming I didn't even set anything. This is just C major. It's just, if you don't know anything about music theory, you want to learn your first chord. This is actually the first chord I learned. So it's basically, you go to C, which is the one, there's two black notes, and then you go to the one on the left of those two, and then you go to you skip one white key, do the next white key, and then you skip that next key and do the next one. So it's just basically you're just doing 3 notes, the same distance, starting with that C, and this is C major. So basically, when I do this, it's actually doing the C major, but it's actually adding some stuff. So I'm doing the C major. First of all, it's doing the strum. If we take the strum off, every time I press it, it's actually doing a different version of it. So wait a second, C sharp major, that should not be playing that, but anyways, it does affect your, like, you can have live input anyways and have it sound more interesting, which is really nice. You can find the chord you want. Once you do have it, oh, that's what it, yeah, this is going to choose one. We have to do learn first. That's what our problem is. Sorry about that. So let's say we wanted program, if we only have these 4, let's say, that's what I was saying, from a MIDI file. Now I get it. It's been a long day, my friends. Okay, so we have, this is the one we want to remove. So we do here. Oh, okay, yeah, it's not doing the strum. Never mind everything I said about that. That would have been exciting if we could do the strum on the live input. But anyways, we can do this. We program this one here, and actually we can even do it a little. So we'll do a 9th chord, and then when we play this. So what we just played, this is playing it strummed, and we can do the inversions. Whatever. We can't do it on the live. We can't do the strum on the live input, but as soon as you press that learn button and it gets out of there, then you can play it. So it's a nice way to do, like, you can adjust your chords afterwards, and that's something that wasn't available in Expressive Chords before. So anyways, that's a really nice feature to have that I feel like they almost forgot about, because I'm sure it's not, unless I missed it in these release notes. Hold on, Expressive. Yeah, see? I think this is way older. Like, this is on the notes from 12.0. So yeah, they forgot to mention it in the release notes, and or maybe they left it out on purpose. I don't know. But this and that generator's pack are interesting things to have in here. So, anyways, okay, so that is 12.3. I think we went through everything that is in there. If I forgot anything, let me know. And yeah, I'm hoping you guys get some use out of it. It's like I said, it's a weird little update because it's got some really interesting stuff, but I think that's what it is. It's got really interesting stuff, but that not everybody uses. So I think that's why some people are really, really excited about it, and like the stem separation, and other people are like, I don't need the stem separation, whatever. And same with Splice. People either love it or hate it. So that's the thing, like a few of these things, and the auto Pan-Tremolo effect. Like, even auto pan isn't something I hear a lot of people mention. Like, I use it constantly, but there's one preset on there. If you want your music to sound better like this, just throw an auto pan Around the Head is the name of the preset, and it's an amazing starting point. It just builds whatever track that you're using it on like right away. So yeah, auto pan in the first place is a useful one, and then adding the tremolo doesn't seem like a big thing, but like we said earlier, it is useful for some stuff. So, and then the AB, we don't really think about it, but I have a feeling it's one of those things where we'll notice the more we use it, we'll be like, oh, wait a second, this is useful. This is useful. Group, like the freezing, or not freezing, because they don't have the group freezing, but they do have. Well, I guess like in a way, people are saying you don't have the group freeze, but in a way, if we go back to the group here, like if we do, yeah, I guess like it would be nice to be able to just freeze this outright. And but if you like, you can sort of freeze it, because if we're sitting here and we're freezing this group here, like this section here, if we choose the bounce group in place, it will basically do a freeze and flatten. But if we do bounce to new track, it will keep what we had there. So it lets us, it's sort of like freezing because it doesn't overwrite what we've been working on, so we can still go into the MIDI and make our changes and stuff. So yeah, we're not completely there yet. We don't have the group freeze, but I have a feeling, first of all, it's very close by because all of these are heading towards that anyways. But this is a way to sort of, no, I guess you're not really freezing in this case because you're still running it, so it's still, it could still be affecting your CPU in some cases. So anyways, but that's probably coming soon. But yeah, the bounce group in place and bounce group to new track, I think can be very useful. And I think we'll find some uses. A lot of these things we don't have a use for them right away. And then as it goes, and I've noticed this over the years with a bunch of updates, I'm like, I'll never need that, whatever. And then at some point I'm like, wait a minute, there's this. And then you start using that feature and then you're like, wait a minute, like, how did I live without this before they did that in, Ableton Live 9.5 or whatever, So yeah, it'll be an interesting way to do it. You've been messing around with it this morning, different presets for the different presets. Are you asking about, is it Expressive Chords you mean, or? And if it is Expressive Chords, yes, there are presets. And if it's the auto filter, it has presets, some great presets as well. But yeah, Expressive Chords does have a bunch of presets as well. I don't see them here. I can't remember how to get to them, but oh, there we go. If we do this, Max for Live, and we go to Expressive Chords, here, it's got a bunch of presets, and a lot of them have a lot of chords in them. Yeah, okay, Expressive. So yeah, so you just go to Max for Live, just make sure there's nothing in the search box here, and you'll have like 90s R&B. Where do we have... wow, it's going to take a bit to figure out where. A lot of tracks here. None of them are named, but because we've been just adding stuff. But I want to find where we had that piano. Oh, I thought we had it somewhere in here. We could just do create MIDI track. And actually we'll add this 90s R&B. And we'll just do the electric piano again, because it probably should work well with this. And like I was saying, we want to automate. Actually, I think there's a way here to, yeah, there's a way here, the strum, to adjust. We can do the randomization here a little bit. I think it's affecting all of it, but... And yeah, so it's got a whole bunch. And like I said, like if we look at this one here, it's using all of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's all. Okay, I'm gonna be like, what's 8 times? I can't believe I'm asking this. What's 8 times 6? Is that 48? I think it's 48. But yeah, so oh yeah, you don't have a Max for Live bank. Yeah, that's weird because yeah, you do have access to this device, but you don't have it under Max for Live. I wonder. Okay, well, hold on. If we do try searching some of these, like I don't know if you can. Hold on. I'll expand this. Display. Oh, no. Well, yeah, maybe we can. I'll expand it so you can at least see it. Try searching. No, that won't work. Holy smokes. Oh, that's one thing that I noticed that's interesting was when I installed this, it went back to 100. Like I always do 120% for the zoom in here, but for some reason, or 125 or something, but for some reason it went it went back to 100 when I installed the update. So I guess I didn't keep that setting. But anyways, if you can search some of these, look for cinematic, classic house. Classic house is a nice one, as far as I remember. Or maybe I'm thinking of the arpeggiator. This would probably sound nice. Okay, I'm going to do this some other time, but it would sound nice with the M1 on the house. Oh, no, you know what? We're going to do it. Why not? If we go here, there's a few. There's a house keyboard, if I can find it in here. I don't have it, but this does sound like nice. If we had a little bit of strum. No, strum doesn't sound good on here. This does. I think it'll be here. There's a house. There's a house organ. Oh, actually, hold on. This one here. But nope, not this one. So we're at a hockey game. That also sounds like we're at a hockey game. But anyways, yeah, if you search those, you should be. You found it? Okay, good. Good. I'm glad you have access. Where did you find it? So if anybody else is wondering if they have the standard version or the intro version and they want to use the Expressive Chords presets. If you don't, yeah, I could see if you don't have Max for Live. Probably searched for it and was able to find them. So, but or it might be showing up. That's weird. Like I never even really thought about that because yeah, usually Max for Live doesn't have isn't available in the other versions. So that's sort of a weird thing that they've done lately. And I have a feeling that might be a pattern that they may be taking some of these other devices, especially that convolution reverb or the hybrid reverb or whatever would be nice to have in the other version. So Ableton just updated, so maybe it was introduced under Expressive Chords in MIDI. Oh, okay, it's under MIDI effects. Do I have it under? Oh, there you go. Okay, so yeah, so I was going under Max for Live, but I guess it is under MIDI effects as well. Okay, so if you're using standard or intro and you want Expressive Chords and you want to access the presets, just load up MIDI effects, make sure this search box is empty, and then you'll have all of your presets here. Wow, there's a lot of them, eh? Like warm house. And each of these has, I'm noticing that each of these has, they're full. Each of them have like 48 different chords built in. So I want to try it with one of the other electric pianos and see. So this is where we want to have the strum going. Yeah, and you've got all of them programmed on each of these. Like that's tons of chords. Like you'll never be able to get through all these chords. You'll be able to make a lot of tracks with these. So Anyways, okay, thank you very much. This World Needs a Hero, Richard. There was Senior, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Senior Sako, I think it's Sako. Anyways, everybody who was in here today, I really appreciate it. Everybody who, even if you weren't in the chat, everybody who was watching, I really appreciate you guys being here. You have no idea how much this is. It's just so nice to have you guys share this stuff with. So anyways, I hope that can help you with your 12.3 update. And yeah, and as there are more updates, I'm not going to do an update video for Ableton Move, the 1.8, because there's not really that much. Like I'm going here. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you very much for saying that. This World Needs a Hero says, thank you for your time. And Ableton Move. There are a couple of things in Ableton Move. I can maybe mention them real quickly, but oh no, I want Ableton Move. It's really the Move release notes. There's really the auto Pan-Tremolo was added in there, so you can work on it with there, which is actually really interesting on the Move though. And I'm going to do a separate video about that on its own, is using it a little bit as a side chain type of thing. So I've got that'll be, and I finally got an adapter for this camera and whatever, so I'll be able to have a better camera for the Move videos, because I don't like the one that I've been using. Yeah, I didn't like the quality. So okay, and so there's basically that. They added the auto Pan-Tremolo, or they updated auto Pan, because I think auto Pan was in there, but they have auto Pan-Tremolo, unless auto Pan wasn't even in there at all. So anyways, that's in there now. And they also have everything on, you have access to everything on Drift, which I think that may have been in an earlier, yeah, that was in an earlier update. So really, that's the only update. So it's not a whole bunch to say about Ableton Move. But anyways, I can finally get through this long list of videos I want to do. So I've got a whole bunch of stuff about plugins. I've got a bunch of stuff about Reason, about Ableton. So yeah, that'll be coming up soon. Thank you so much again for being here, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good night and enjoy Ableton Live 12.3. It's I think it's more impressive than it seems. We're going to be using a lot of these features over time, and we're going to be wondering how we ever did without it. So anyways, have a good night, everybody, and thanks again for being here.